They say the Great Wall is the only man-made structure visible from space. That is a myth. But the real truth is far darker. Because when archaeologists started digging around its foundations, they didn't just find stone. They found something that looks more like a coffin poured over the earth. For centuries, people whispered that the wall was built on bones, that the mortar was mixed with human remains, that this dragon of stone was fed by the dead. Tonight, we aren't walking on top of the wall. We are going underneath it to see what it's actually hiding. In the West, the wall earned a nickname, the longest cemetery on Earth. Legend says that for every few meters a worker died. Their bodies were thrown into the wet mortar and sealed inside the bricks forever. It is a fantastic story, and it is completely wrong. When Chinese archaeologists went looking for these alleged walls of bone, they found something else, graves, but not in the wall. The dead were buried beside the construction site. So no, the wall isn't a mass grave 21,000 kilometers long. The truth is stranger. When the research team finally took samples of the ancient mortar, what they found wasn't bone dust. It was rice. Tiny fragments of organic material mixed into the lime. Not just any rice, sticky rice. The same kind used in soup. Chemists realized that ancient builders had engineered an early form of composite concrete. Lime, sand, and boiled rice porridge. The sticky sugars locked the crystals so tightly that in some places, the rice mortar has outlasted modern repairs. The Great Wall wasn't built on the bodies of workers, as the old legends claim. The truth is something much creepier. It was built on the decision to erase everything and everyone in its path. Official history, written by the victors, likes to describe the frontier as empty, a desolate wasteland, untamed and uninhabited, just open space waiting for the emperor's orders and the emperor's wall, a blank canvas for a grand imperial project. But archaeology doesn't care about official stories. It listens to the earth. In 2018, a quiet excavation in a place called Guangli began to reveal evidence that the land beneath the wall wasn't empty at all. It was teeming with a history that had been deliberately buried. At first, it looked like any other dig site. The familiar fragments of the past, holes in the dirt, broken pottery, the dark stains of ash from old hearths. But then, as the team dug deeper, a pattern emerged from the chaos. Stone foundations in neat, deliberate lines. These weren't random rocks. They were the footprints of houses, an entire settlement, streets, courtyards, fire pits, dating back over 2,500 years to the Western Zhou period, a thriving community, and running right across the top of it was the Great Wall. You can literally see the moment of destruction in the soil profile, layers of ordinary life, the dark earth of homes, the red clay of stoves, the gray flecks of ash, and then a brutal, compacted strip of stone and earth cutting through it like a guillotine. This wasn't an empty frontier. This was someone's neighborhood. And when the order came to build, their houses weren't moved. Their lives weren't relocated. They were buried. Archaeologists in Guangli found pottery, tools, and the discarded animal bones from countless meals. Traces of meals cooked and eaten. Winters survived, children raised. A whole world of human experience. Not a single imperial chronicle mentions these people or their town. No names, no dates, no heroic last stands. Their existence was an inconvenience to the state's narrative. Just the silence of a community literally crushed beneath the foundation of the Emperor's Wall. The longest cemetery on Earth isn't a story about bodies in bricks. It's a story about lives that were erased just so the wall could exist. If you zoom out on the map far enough, the wall stops looking like architecture and starts looking like a scar. Most tourists never see the wall like this. They see clean steps, fresh railings. But at Jiankou, on the Wild Wall, the mask slips. Here, the rock is cracked. Trees grow between the bricks. The structure is returning to the mountain that once dared to resist it. And right here, inside the crumbling ruin of this remote outpost, archaeologists found something no one expected. From the outside, these watchtowers look like solid, impenetrable fortresses, just simple, brutalist blocks of stone, pierced with narrow slits for arrows. But when researchers finally cracked open Tower 117, they discovered these towers weren't just simple platforms for soldiers. They were complex living machines, hollow, layered, intricate, carefully engineered to keep human beings alive on a knife's edge in the middle of a brutal winter. Step inside, and the first thing you notice isn't the arrow slits or the view. It's the bed, a massive raised brick platform known as a kang. Underneath it, a cleverly designed duct for hot air from a small stove. Soldiers would pack this space with fuel, light a fire at one end, and let the heat and smoke spread under the bricks, turning the entire bed into a giant, life-sustaining radiator. In a landscape where the wind can peel the skin off your face, this wasn't a luxury. It was the absolute difference between life and death. The ash still clings to the firebox, a ghostly residue. Fingerprints of men who warmed their bones here while staring into a darkness they were told to fear. In another part of the tower, the team found storage pits for grain. In another, a rusted Ming-era cannon, left exactly where it was last shoved into position centuries ago. And leaning against the damp stone wall, an engraved tablet from 1573, a date, a name. The moment someone took a chisel to stone to prove that this frozen, isolated outpost was once important enough to be written down. And it wasn't just weapons. We now know exactly what they ate to survive. Scattered on the floor, archaeologists found 53 animal bones, donkey, pig, and even roe deer hunted from the nearby forest. The cut marks on the bones tell a brutal story of soldiers butchering their own meat in the freezing cold. But they weren't completely cut off. Amidst the rubble, 28 delicate turquoise ornaments were discovered, stones that came from Hubei and Shanxi, thousands of kilometers away, proof that even on this frozen edge, trade found a way to reach them. Imagine serving here, sleeping on a warm slab, eating rationed grain, stacking weapons in the corner. Most nights, nothing happens. You live and die inside the wall, guarding a line that only history will truly see. At night, when the fires were lit, the wall glowed like a vein of embers winding across the mountains. Not like a barrier, but like a living organism. So what lies beneath the Great Wall of China? It's a question that has haunted this monument for centuries, fueling dark legends. But the truth isn't rivers of bones poured into mortar. Beneath the wall are things far more ordinary, and in their own way, far more disturbing. The crushed homes of forgotten towns like Guangli, erased from the map. The lines of older kingdoms cut in half, their histories severed. And inside the wall, the traces of men ordered to hold the line, waiting for an enemy that might never come. We now know they butchered donkey, pig, and deer to survive the cold. And yet, amidst the rubble, archaeologists found delicate turquoise ornaments, proof that even on this frozen edge, trade found a way to reach them. We like to think ruins are finished stories. They aren't. They are questions etched in stone. What is buried beneath this wall is just one answer, painstakingly dug out of the dirt. There are thousands more waiting to be found. If you want to keep digging deeper into the chambers, tunnels, and buried cities history tried to cover up, join the excavation. Subscribe. This is Legends in the Dust, and we have only just started digging. They say the Great Wall is the only man-made structure visible from space. That is a myth, but the real truth is far darker.